Stop taking 5 grams of creatine. I know that sounds insane coming from a health channel. But here is what almost no trainer, no supplement company, and honestly, most doctors will never tell you. After 50, your body's ability to store and use creatine drops dramatically. You can take the standard dose every single day and still feel your strength fading, your brain getting foggy, and your energy disappearing by noon. A groundbreaking study published in Scientific Reports found that a single high dose of creatine, roughly 27 grams, taken during sleep deprivation improved working memory and processing speed for up to 9 hours straight. Not 5 grams, not 10 grams, 27 grams. And here is where things get truly unbelievable. Researchers studying adults in their 50s, 60s, and 70s discovered that the standard creatine dose most people take was never actually designed for aging bodies, aging brains, or the specific hormonal and neurological changes that happen after 50. The dose that fills a young athlete's muscles is not the same dose that protects your brain, fights fatigue, and preserves the muscle you are working so hard to keep. In today's video, we are going to break down exactly what megadosing creatine means, why people over 50 are doing it, what the research actually shows, the real risks you need to know about, and whether it is actually worth it for you. But before we dive in, if you are over 50 and you are serious about staying strong, sharp, and independent for decades to come, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. We publish science-backed content every week specifically for people who refuse to let age slow them down. And here is a quick question before we start. Are you currently taking creatine? And if so, how much? Drop your answer in the comments below. Now let's begin, because what you are about to hear about creatine will completely change how you think about this supplement. What megadosing actually means. First, let's get clear on the terminology, because there is a lot of confusion online about this. When most people hear megadosing, they think of the classic creatine loading phase. That is where you take 20 grams per day, split into 4 doses, for about 5 to 7 days. The goal is to saturate your skeletal muscle with creatine as fast as possible. After that loading phase, most people drop down to 3 to 5 grams per day as a maintenance dose. That protocol has been around for decades. It has been studied extensively. And for muscle building in younger adults, it works. But that is not what we are talking about today. When researchers and experts talk about megadosing creatine in the context of brain health, fatigue, and aging, they are talking about people who are taking 20, 30, sometimes even 40 grams of creatine every single day. Not for a week, for weeks or months at a time. And they are not doing it to build bigger biceps. They are doing it for memory, for mental clarity, for pushing through fatigue, for surviving on less sleep, and for protecting the brain from the kind of neurological decline that quietly accelerates after 50. This is a completely different conversation than the one happening in most gyms. And it is one that every person over 50 needs to hear. Why people over 50 are megadosing, the brain connection. Here is something most people do not know. About 95% of the creatine in your body is stored in your skeletal muscle. But your brain stores creatine too. And your brain prizes creatine so much that your body actually manufactures about 1 gram of it every single day, just to keep your brain supplied. Think about that. Your body goes out of its way to produce creatine for your brain. That tells you something important about how critical this compound is for neurological function. Now here is where it gets fascinating for anyone over 50. When you supplement with creatine at higher doses, the creatine that is not consumed by your skeletal muscle becomes available as an energy buffer for your brain. It helps your brain cells function more efficiently, produce energy faster, and recover from stress more effectively. Small studies have shown that creatine supplementation can improve memory and cognitive function, especially in people who are sleep-deprived, and in vegans and vegetarians who start with lower creatine levels to begin with. And the reports coming in from real people taking 15 to 25 grams per day are striking. Increased mental clarity, sharper focus, faster thinking. Many people report feeling noticeably more mentally alert fairly quickly after increasing their dose to the 10 to 15 gram range and sometimes higher. A 2006 study found that individuals who took 20 grams of creatine per day for 1 week before 24 hours of sleep deprivation showed preserved reaction time, memory, mood, and balance compared to those who did not supplement. For anyone over 50 who has ever felt that afternoon brain fog, that mental fatigue that hits even after a full night of sleep, or that frustrating sense that your thinking is just not as sharp as it used to be, this research is worth paying attention to. What the world's top experts are actually saying now. Let's look at what some of the most respected voices in longevity and performance medicine are saying about creatine dosing, because the expert consensus here is more nuanced than most people realize. Dr. Peter Attia, author of Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity, considers creatine one of the few supplements he recommends across the board, not just for athletes, but for longevity. He stays in the 5-gram maintenance range for muscle preservation. He does not push megadoses. But he is clear. Creatine is foundational for healthy aging. Andrew Huberman, Stanford neuroscientist and host of the Huberman Lab podcast, takes 10 grams of creatine per day himself. He weighs around 220 pounds and says 10 grams is his personal sweet spot. His position is that the one-size-fits-all recommendation of 5 grams simply does not hold up to the scientific literature. If you weigh between 180 and 250 pounds, he suggests 10 grams per day. Under 185 pounds, 5 grams may be sufficient. Dr. Louisa Nicola, a neurophysiologist from Australia, has gone even further. She originally sat in the lower dose camp, but she changed her position based on the evidence. She now recommends 15 to 20 grams per day for women and 18 to 20 grams per day for men, particularly for people who have experienced any kind of neurological stress, a stroke, early cognitive decline, or significant memory issues. Her reasoning is that a brain that has already lost neurons needs more energy just to perform basic tasks, and creatine provides that energy buffer. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, author of Forever Strong, focuses on muscle as the organ of longevity. She is strongly pro-creatine for older adults, but she stays in the practical evidence-based range of 3 to 5 grams per day and does not advocate for ongoing 20 to 30 gram protocols. Here is what is remarkable. Despite their differences in recommended dosing, every single one of these experts agrees on 3 things. Creatine is very safe. Most people do not get enough from diet alone. And supplementation makes sense as a tool for healthy aging and longevity. That level of consensus among experts who rarely agree on anything is significant. Now, before we get into the risks and the practical recommendations, I want to take just a moment to mention something that has been getting a lot of attention in the senior health community. If you are focused on building and preserving muscle after 50, creatine is one piece of the puzzle. But your muscles also need the right amino acids to actually build and repair tissue. Advanced Amino formula contains all 8 essential amino acids in the exact balance your body needs to make protein. And unlike whey protein, where research shows up to 83% gets converted to sugar rather than muscle, Advanced Amino formula is designed for maximum utilization. If you want to give your muscles the building blocks they need alongside your creatine protocol, the link is in the description below. Check it out. It is worth a look. Now, back to creatine, because the risks section is something you absolutely cannot skip. The real risks. You need to know. Here is where we have to be completely honest with you, because there are real risks to megadosing creatine that most online conversations completely gloss over. The most common side effects at higher doses are gastrointestinal, bloating, cramping, diarrhea. Not dangerous, but not pleasant either. Splitting your dose into smaller amounts throughout the day significantly reduces these issues. But here is the risk that almost nobody talks about, and it is one that an ER doctor needs to take seriously. When you take supplemental creatine, your body breaks it down into creatinine. And creatinine is the primary marker doctors use to measure kidney function. So if you are megadosing creatine and you go in for routine blood work, or worse, you end up in the emergency room for any reason, your creatinine levels may look dangerously elevated even if your kidneys are perfectly healthy. That can trigger a cascade of unnecessary testing, hospital admission, expensive workups, genuine confusion among medical staff who may not know you are supplementing with creatine. The practical takeaway is this. If you are supplementing with creatine, especially at higher doses, you must tell every doctor, every nurse, and every ER physician who draws your blood. You are in the driver's seat on this. Do not assume they will know. Many will not. And if you have existing kidney issues, are on multiple medications, or have any significant health conditions, speak with your doctor before experimenting with higher creatine doses. This is not optional. So is megadosing actually worth it? Here is the honest answer. And it depends on what you're trying to achieve. For muscle and strength, megadosing is probably not necessary. Once your muscles are saturated with creatine, taking more does not give you more muscle benefit. For muscle preservation and strength after 50, the evidence strongly supports 3 to 5 grams per day, and that is where 99% of the research sits. For the brain, this is where it gets genuinely interesting. The research on higher doses for cognitive function, memory, and mental resilience under stress and sleep deprivation is promising. It is not yet definitive. The studies are mostly short-term. We do not have long-term safety data on people taking 20 to 30 grams every day for years. But the signal is there. And for people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who are dealing with brain fog, fatigue, or early cognitive concerns, the risk-to-benefit ratio of experimenting with 10 to 20 grams per day under medical supervision may be worth exploring. If you want to experiment with higher doses, here is the practical framework based on the current evidence. Start with 5 grams per day and build up gradually. Do not jump straight to 20 grams. Split your dose into 2 or 3 smaller amounts throughout the day to minimize GI issues. Stay very well hydrated. Creatine pulls water into your muscle cells, and your brain needs hydration to function optimally. Tell your doctor you are supplementing, especially before any blood work. And if you are on medications that affect the kidneys, get medical clearance first. For most people over 50, a dose somewhere between 5 and 10 grams per day, calibrated to your body weight, is a reasonable, evidence-informed starting point that captures most of the benefit with minimal risk. If you are heavier or dealing with specific cognitive concerns, working up toward 15 to 20 grams under medical guidance may be worth exploring. But 40 grams indefinitely? The evidence simply does not support that yet. Here is what we know for certain. Creatine is one of the most studied, most validated, and safest supplements available for adults over 50. Every major expert in longevity medicine agrees on that. The debate is not whether to take it. The debate is how much and for what purpose. For muscle preservation and strength, 3 to 5 grams per day is proven and powerful. For brain health and cognitive resilience, the emerging research points toward higher doses. And that conversation is only going to grow louder as more studies come in. The most important thing you can do right now is stop leaving this supplement on the table entirely, or taking a dose so small it barely moves the needle for your aging body and brain. Start. Be consistent. Tell your doctor, and pay attention to how you feel, because your body will give you real feedback faster than any study will. And one more thing before you go. If you are serious about building and preserving muscle after 50, do not forget that creatine works best when your muscles have the amino acid building blocks they need to actually grow and repair. Advanced Amino formula gives your body all 8 essential amino acids in the precise balance needed for real muscle protein synthesis, the kind that works even as your body's anabolic response naturally slows with age. Thousands of people over 60 and 70 are already using it and feeling the difference. The link is in the description. If this video gave you something new to think about, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it right now. We are here every week with science-backed, no-nonsense health information for people over 50 who are playing the long game. Drop a comment below and tell us, are you taking creatine? What dose? And have you ever experimented with going higher? We want to hear your experience. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strong, stay sharp, and we will see you in the next video.